So you're going to have to concentrate, because if not, you're going to get lost. I also speak very quickly because, we're from the places of Speedy Gonzalez. You know Speedy Gonzalez? This is when I was young. Okay, long time ago. But anyways, how come you were not here last year? Did you all make Aliyah this year? Who made Aliyah this year? And this is their first event. Oh my God, we have like 5 people. Good for you. Israel. Hi. Okay, anyways. But there was a very long line in the bathroom. So it took us a long time until a few brave women decided they should go to a men's section, Why shouldn't they? It smells worse, but it's all good. Okay, anyways, so hi, my name is Raquel. I'm from Panama, for anyone that doesn't know me. And great. Is that good of an introduction? Beautiful. So I'm hot. So much walking to the great synagogue. You have to park far and then walk, but it's good for the 10,000 steps. Your earrings are out of this world. Wow, look at this. Everyone has to look at this lady and her colors. Okay. This is?
Last week.
Ah?
Yeah, she made Aliyah last week.
Ah, yeah?
She's
Wow.
married, and I have
Ah.
a photo.
Wait, are you the Shadchanit? Because I remember you from last year. I remember you. She also said she was going to find me a husband. Hasn't happened. But it's okay. We'll share. Anyways, but you're also such a beautiful, colorful group of women. I have no idea what happened. Usually everyone is wearing black. I'm only colorful. Do you like my dress? It's from AliExpress. Okay. Okay. Now that we have break the ice and I'm hot. Okay, let's go. So, Baruch Hashem, Chodesh Tov to everyone. Shavua Tov. So we all know that we are in the month of Elul. Now, I don't know how you grew up or how many classes of Elul you have ever gone to, but I remember almost every single class that I ever went to started the same way. When the month would get to a month of Elul, the rabbis would tremble because all of the judgment that is going to happen in the year is going to happen now. You know what I'm talking about? Has anyone ever heard a class starting like that? And then they would tell you all of the tragedy that happened the last year. And then they would be like, you see, if you would have davened, if you would have done real tshuva, none of that would have happened. But then the next year there was more tragedy. So then you went to Selichot and you banged your chest harder because you're such a sinner. We'll get to Selichot soon. I don't know, I grew up Sephardi. Thank you so much. I already have I said a blessing because I have a big water bottle in my bag, and that's why I go to a bathroom with another 20 women all the time. Because science says you have to drink all of your weight of water in ounces, and I weigh a lot. Okay. Anyways, it's all muscle. Anyways, thank you so much from last year. Okay, anyways, but so then you had a whole entire other year full of tragedies, and then you banged your chest even harder. We'll get to that soon, but I used to be Sephardi, then I married Ashkenazi, now I'm back to Sephardi. Because listen, we drink everything on glass. So why should I be Ashkenazi? So much more kitchen, space. And Sephardi's is just so much easier. And I don't want to tell you, but rice on Pesach is so much more worth it than cream cheese and lox. But my rabbi, because I used to be Sephardi, then became Ashkenazi and went back to Sephardi, he also allows cream cheese and lox. So now I get the best of everything, because they say women that have emotional distress, you don't have to be strict. So I don't keep any halacha. It works amazing. Anyways. But, when I got married, we negotiated, and I am obsessed with Sephardi Selichot. Anyone here Sephardi in the audience? Okay. I have a rabbi that moved to a neighborhood, and he only goes to Sephardi Selichot. He's like, what happened? I don't know if you've ever gone to Sephardi Selichot. I'll get to this later. He's super, super, super happy. Like, I literally have the songs in my playlist for running. It's like, Adon Selichot, and you're partying. And then, my ex-husband was like, listen, why don't you go to Ashkenazi Selichot? It's much better. You do 5 times instead of 1 month. Sephardi people are cuckoo. They say because we ate rice on Pesach, we have to do a lot of Selichot. So he says, why don't you go to the Ashkenazi one? In 5 times, you can do a whole thing. I'm like, you know what? Okay, I'll try the Ashkenazi one. I go, no offense, but I have to tell you this. I go to the Ashkenazi one. Oh my God. They were banging their chest so hard. I was like, of course you only do 5, because if you do more, there's not going to be any people left to repent. Like, if you were not depressed before you started Selichot, you're going to get depressed. And then there's always this tune. I don't know, maybe it's where I live in Harnof. Maybe the OU, they sing much nicer songs. But in Harnof, everything is, oh, yo, yo, oh, yo, yo. I'm like, Shema Israel, what's going on? But now, if you really, really think about it, yes, that's how we should feel like. Because it is the time of judgment. It is the time of fear. At the same time, the Torah tells us that there was no happier day than Yom Kippur. Maybe we are getting this concept of judgment completely wrong. Yes, we know, I think as Zemira told you, like the topic of today is everyone gets like one of the acronyms of Elul. And I got Ani ledodi vedodi li. I am for my beloved and my beloved is for me. Does it say I am for my punisher and my punisher is for me? It doesn't say that. It only talks about love. I know that we listen to the word judgment and we're petrified, but maybe we have it all wrong. One of my favorite Devar Torahs on the planet. I heard it from Rabbi Jacobson. I'm a big fan that heard it from the Rebbe of Lubavitch. He said that one of the 15 signs that Mashiach is going to come is Talmidei Chachamim Ibaesu. That the Talmidei Chachamim are going to be ashamed, embarrassed, and the people that fear God, Irei Shamayim, they're going to be disrespected, embarrassed. So now, obviously, what do most people understand? We live in a world where if you do the right thing, people look down on you. Yes, Talmidei Chachamim are going to be evaes. Everyone is going to look down on them. Everyone is going to step on them. It's going to be very bad. But he said that the Torah says something else. When the Jewish people were going to accept the Torah, it says that they were standing 3 days away from the mountain because they were petrified. Everyone was frozen. Everything was scary. So suddenly God says to them, listen to a pasuk, why are you standing far away from me? Come close to me so that you can fear me. He said, literally, why are you afraid? Come close to me so that you can fear me. I don't know you, but I'm Sephardi, a little Gestapo. So when I call my kids and I'm like, Chevy, she stays away. Because she knows if she's going to get close, it's going to look bad. You know what I'm saying? So now, God, if we were afraid of you when we were far, do you think that we want to get closer? We don't want to get closer. We're going to be more afraid. We're looking at you when you're far. You look at someone and they look smaller. Could you imagine if we come close to you, we're going to look at your greatness? Of course we're going to be so much more afraid. And the Rebbe of Lubavitch said something amazing. In Judaism, we always talk about Irat Shamayim, fear of God. There are people that their way of teaching Torah is, if you don't do this, you're going to burn in hell. If you don't do this, things are going to happen to you. Everything has to go out of fear. I remember one time a girl came to me and she told me she started covering her hair. Because the rabbi said that if you don't cover your hair, then is, a sin, and you're going to make all of the men look. I'm like, why didn't the rabbi teach you what's the beauty of covering your hair? That would be much nicer. You don't think? When I teach Torah, I never say no. I make people understand and know on their own. Because it's so nice, you don't want to do the other way. So we're accustomed of thinking about fear in a sense of, you're going to burn in hell or whatever you think. But there are 2 types of fear. Yes, actually, when the Torah talks about love of God and fear of God, Ahavat Hashem, Be'irat Hashem. If you don't understand my Hebrew, tell me and I'll translate to, Ashkenazi, Ahava, and Ira. Okay, I'll translate, But the Torah says, what is Irat Shamayim? Listen, it's a word that in English we call reverence. Irat aromemut, fear of awesomeness. Imagine if you would go to a king, you're standing in front in fear. But it's not because you're afraid of him. He's not going to knock you down. He's not going to kick you. It's just you've never seen someone so great in front of you. I always tell my students, you know what is Irat Shamayim? Do you know that from the satellite in the moon, the only thing that we can see is the Chinese wall? It looks like a little line of ants. Could you imagine how do we look in front of God We're like the bacteria in the plankton, in the phytoplankton, on the other bacteria. I don't know any more names in English, but you know what I'm trying to say? And then suddenly you pray and you're like, wait, God is like everything and he wants to talk to me and he comes down to me. You know, it's suddenly like an incredible thing. Of course you have fear, but it's this fear that comes from reverence, awesomeness. You're standing in front of someone so great, but it's also a fear that leads to love. Because if you understand how great God is and he wants to have a relationship with you, then you also understand how great you are. And therefore, that doesn't put you down, that lifts you up. That is what Yirat Shamayim is about. When I have this understanding that I am such an important piece of the puzzle in the world, then I want to behave. You know, one time I was reading a story, you know, it reminded me a lot when I on October 7th, I started doing all of these like videos, you know, to give people chizuk. And I remember reading in one of Rav Shimshon Pinku's book that one time he was talking to someone that worked at a bomb factory in Dimona. Okay, maybe we have nuclear weapons also. Okay, maybe. Anyways, so he was talking to this guy and he said to him, so what do you do all day? And he goes like, I sit in a cubicle. Okay, I would die, you know, but like he sits in a cubicle and he has like a little window, sort of like how they make matzah. They pass him pieces, instructions, he builds them and he passes them back. So the rabbi said to him, so, no, does Israel has nuclear weapons? He goes like, I don't know. He goes like, what do you build all day? He goes like, I don't know. And then he says, so how do you work? Not knowing all day what you're doing. So he said, I don't know what I'm doing, but I know that in my power, it's either to build the entire world or to destroy the entire world. I know that I'm building such a strong weapon that if I do something wrong, I'm going to mess up the whole entire world. I want to get it right. That's what this month is about. If I understand my greatness, it builds me up. Because I understand that just as God is so important, I'm also so important. Yirat HaRomemut. And therefore now, I'm going to go back to this. But listen to a beautiful answer that the Rebbe of Lubavitch gave. You know why when they were standing far away, they were very afraid? And then God says, come close to me so that you don't fear me. Because there's two types of fears. You know, when a person is far away from someone and they don't have a relationship, they take guard. Because they don't know who that other person is. You know, those are the people that go like, what if I make a mistake? What if I... But when you're very close to someone, you're also afraid. But it's a different kind of fear. It's a fear of, I love you so much. I don't want to mess this up. If you're married, you don't want to do a mistake. Not because you're afraid that your husband is going to beat you up. If your husband beats you up, don't be married. No, I'm joking. Anyways, you know. But you're so afraid. Why? Because you have such a beautiful relationship. You don't want to ruin it. If I love my children, I'm so afraid of saying the wrong thing. Not because my children are going to respond back, even though sometimes they do, but because I love them so much, I don't want to hurt them. There's fear that freezes you, and there's fear that brings you closer. And I feel like for the Jewish people, usually the fear that we have is a fear that freezes. It's not a fear that brings closer. And that's why the Torah says before Mashiach is going to come, then the people that have Yirat Shamayim are going to be despised. Yes, one explanation is that everyone is going to look down on truth. But another explanation is people are not going to want the Torah of fear. People are going to want the Torah of love. If you look at what you're attracted to, everything is about how can I get a better relationship with God. I want to do the right thing. But not because I'm afraid God is going to punish me. Like we have rebellious people in the planet. No one is afraid of anything anymore. I want to feel a want to do the right thing. That's what the month of Elul is about. If you know, the month of Elul, the sign is Betula, Virgo, Virgin. So a lot of people understand it as, you know, because then you're white. I ask my daughters on Shabbat, what is that? And they go like, Ima ki anachnu nekiim. You know, we're clean from sin. You know, I'm like, you're clean anyways. You know, but anyways, right? But there's another reason. You remember, you know, when you're going to get married, the excitement, the joy, the preparation, the connection. Do you remember this? Do you remember how everything felt so exciting? The first time, this is why everyone gains weight when they get married. Because, every single meal that you see on Instagram, I know there was no Instagram when some of us got married, but you have to make all of these romantic dinners. Why? Because you want to bring connection. And the month of Elul, it's about getting back to that space where you realize how much this relationship means to you. What happened that it got lost in the middle? It's actually incredible because, we know that in Judaism you have an energy that it's spiral and it always comes out. It's actually very funny because when you really think about this, Yom Kippur doesn't really make sense. What happened on the original Yom Kippur? We know that on Rosh Hashanah, Moshe went up to ask for forgiveness. Everyone knows this whole story. Everything started on the 17th of Tammuz, and then you had 40 days, blah, blah, blah. Moshe goes for the second time up to heaven. And he's going to get the tablets. He asks for forgiveness. 40 days he's there from the beginning of Elul till Yom Kippur. What happens on Yom Kippur? He goes down. Now I want you to think about this. If Moshe went up, it's not just physically up, spiritually up. For 40 days, you're working on your midot, you're working on yourself, you're working on your connection to God. On Yom Kippur, you go down. Could you imagine this? It's like you're working to get married, then you get to the yichud room, but then you go like, I'm going back to my house. No one wants that. You need some action. Like, what's happening here? But Yom Kippur is the day that Moshe sort of went away from Hashem into his own thing. Yes? He wasn't there with God. He went to his own thing. Because real holiness, real kedusha, is not having God bring you up, but it's you bringing God down. It's you bringing God into your own life. Yom Kippur is not about our connection with God. It's about our connection to ourselves. That's what Yom Kippur is about. It's about returning to who we could be. And this is why there's a halacha that says that after the Kohen Gadol finished the whole entire service of Yom Kippur, he had to go home. And everyone asks a question, okay, where do you want him to go? Holiday Inn? Of course he's going to go home. But it says no. Because on Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, of course you're feeling high. Anyone knows what happens the night after Yom Kippur finishes? Suddenly we're all, all have eating disorders. There's no night in the year that people fight much more than the night after Yom Kippur. It's like everyone gets home, everyone is eating all of their food, and everyone is talking badly about everyone that was annoying them on shul. You know what I'm talking about? That lady's like, no, I stay holy. Good for you. This is my friend from the bathroom. And everyone is like fighting on the last little pizza and the bagel and the soup. And then you have nothing to do. So what are you going to do? You just daven the whole entire day. You don't want to daven anymore because you eat in 35 seconds. But Yom Kippur is finished by 7:30. So what do you do from 8:30 on? You're bored. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, the real job is, can you take it back home? The Kohen Gadol is feeling so high. Right? So the halakha says, it's not about feeling high. Can you go back home? Can you be a good husband? Can you help with your kids? Can you prepare lunches? That's what holiness is. And that's why we all know that, Shalosh Regalim, yes, you go up to a Beit HaMikdash. Doesn't it make sense on Rosh Hashanah we should also go up to a Beit HaMikdash? We don't go up to a Beit HaMikdash because life is not about always going up. It's about bringing down. When we pray for the temple, we don't want the temple of, that was made out of gold. I know everyone thinks that. We want the Mishkan. The Mishkan went with you wherever you would go. That's what we want. We want to take God everywhere that we're going. On your bedroom, on your dining room, on your kitchen. That's why you put a mezuzah in every single one of the rooms. It's not about protection. It's about understanding how to behave with God in every single one of the rooms. So now let's understand this. What does it mean? What is judgment and why do we want it? The Torah tells us that when God created the world, I don't know if anyone knows this, I don't have all of I know every other teacher gives you all of the pesukim. I'm not that professional. Okay, but I'll tell you, if you ever look at the first chapter of the Torah, the chapter of creation, there's only one name of God that it's mentioned. The name of God, Elohim. Yes? On the second chapter, I'm going to tell you the source. I just don't have it. On the first verse, the pasuk says, Ele toldot shamayim u'ba'aretz. These are the generations of heaven. When Hashem Elokim Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, Elokim created them. When God, but different names, created them. So Rashi says, it's a very famous Rashi, that God, when he created the world, he wanted to run it through judgment. But then he saw after he created the world that it doesn't make sense. No one is going to be able to exist. Imagine if every time you turn on the light on Shabbat, you're going to get electroshock, so it's not such a good idea. So he decided to add mercy. So why is there only one name of God in the first chapter? Because the way that God wanted the world to run is with judgment. But then he decided to add mercy. Everyone with me till now? Great. I have a few questions. God, couldn't you just do like disclosure? I wanted to run the world with judgment. You wouldn't be able to exist, so I'm adding mercy. You know, he had to put it with judgment, then add mercy, like everyone understands my question? Yes? What is this whole entire game? By the way, did you ever hear that there were these two famous people called Hillel and Shammai? And we go through Hillel because he's mercy. But what's going to happen when Mashiach comes? We're going to do Shammai. So who's right? Shammai. Yes? No one likes judgment, but if you think about this, Shammai is the way of the Torah. Because when Mashiach is going to come, the world is going to be run like Shammai, not like Hillel. The only reason why we run it like Hillel is because you wouldn't be able to exist like Shammai. Everyone with me? So now why did God create it with judgment? Then move to why. I'm going to give you the answer, but then I'm going to give you the class. Okay? It says why? Because God wanted you to know that even though he runs the world through mercy, you should behave as if he runs it through judgment. Judgment exists. Judgment is the ideal. Mercy is brownie points. I don't know how you say in America. Brownie points. The world shouldn't be judged through mercy, but rather through judgment. What is the beauty of judgment? You know, do you ever stop and think about this? God has nothing to do except for judging you. You know, it's like on Rosh Hashanah, they go like, and everyone is going to pass in front of God. You know, and then they go like the stairs of Bnei Maron, which were very, narrow and going up, because God wants to look how you look in front of. You're like, okay, Shema Israel, you know, when I read Selichot, there's a pasuk that goes like, Hashem roeh kol chadrei beten. You know, God checks all of the inner, spaces of your stomach. You know, you're like, okay, it's very scary, all of the darkness that exists over there, it's a scary place, What does it mean, judgment? There's a pasuk in Tehillim that says, Mi Adam ki izkerechu ben enosh ki ifkedenu. Who, or maybe I didn't say it right, but it's okay. Anyways, you check out your Tehillim afterwards. Who is man that we should remember him, and man that we should mention him? Like, stop for a moment and think, yes? Do you think the President of the United States thinks that you exist? No. They care for you when they need you to vote. After you vote, no one cares that you exist. You're just one more in the whole world. I don't know if you've ever thought about it, but the whole concept of judgment makes God look bad. It's like, listen, you have the whole world to run and you care about what little Raquel does. I'm not really that important. And I always think it's like, have you ever seen Aladdin? Can we talk about Disney movies for 1 second? Anyway, it's like when you have Aladdin and, the prince is coming and then he sees Aladdin. It looks bad that you are the prince and you care about the street rat. It looks bad that you're Haman, the person with the most amount of power in the world, and then you care about little Mordechai. It doesn't look good on you. Yes, it looks like you need everyone's validation, which pretty much makes you look really bad. Makes you look like you have low self-esteem. So work on yourself. Like, when we talk about God judging everyone, זה לא נראה טוב. It's like, God, don't you have bigger things to do than being involved with little people like Raquel? Do something else. No, not only does he judge you privately, he judges you individually, he judges you on the group, he judges you while everyone is going on. You're like, okay, this is such a big deal. But then maybe, you don't really understand what judgment is about. So in my house, we're 8 kids, we're 6 girls. We're Sephardi, so my parents had 6 girls, and if you're Sephardi and you only have girls, you will be excommunicated. You understand? You have to have a boy. So we had a seventh boy, and then my mom had a surprise. She was not Haredi. There was TV. Don't ask any more questions. But so we have 6 girls and 2 boys. So now in Panama, I mean, they don't do this anymore because now no one does anything that's meaningful because there's social media. But when we were young, we had in Panama, we're like in South Africa. Who's from South Africa? It's like everyone goes to Jewish school and you have all of these Jewish traditions and it's very cute. And, so when it was the bat mitzvah, we had a whole show and then you put like a table with all of these pictures about you, whatever you want. Yes, remember with 6 girls. Anyone here the oldest child of many? If you're 2, it doesn't count. Okay? The oldest child of many. Great. Did your parents have a lot of pictures about you? No, because the first one. You're the oldest, no? Yes. Do you know when you have your first baby? You're obsessed. So I waited 4 years before I could have children. And every day I would put a different outfit with a different head bandana, with a different flower. And I would post all of these pictures on the WhatsApp, and my sisters were like, spam. And then they had their children, and they post pictures. But you know what? You didn't wait for your kids for 4 years. I don't want to see their pictures. My pictures are so much more special. I'm joking. But I'm saying, everyone judges until it happens to him. Oh, my God. I took a picture of my daughter every day, at every hour. I used to teach, and we had this minute. You can, if anyone has ever been a mother to my students or, my students, you could ask them. I had a minute in my class. It was called the Chevy Minute. Every day, everyone would close their eyes. And I would tell them something funny that happened with my daughter. Anyways, the second one was also hard to come, so I also have a lot of pictures about them. And the third and fourth, they're twins. So there's no way you cannot take pictures about twins because they're just oh my God, they French kiss. It's like the best thing. I let them because they don't have to be Tsanua for now, so I let them. Anyways, sometimes I'm like, I hope that I find love like this. It's not kosher, but for now, they're still 4, so it's allowed. Anyways, when you had your first child, you never went on a vacation because God forbid you would miss out on the first word. You know what I'm talking about? And you're all day obsessing about your kids, and you say, mama. Mama. And they go like, mama, and you're like, oh, they say mama. No, the first word any child learns how to say is die. Okay? And no mama. Just want you to know. Die and no. But imagine if you missed out on the first word. You would die. Now, I think most of you are mothers and some of you grandmothers. Do you know, one day your children will talk so much that you will wish they never spoke in their life? You know what I'm talking about? It's like you're trying to say the Amidah, and they go like, Ima אני רוצה לאכול. אני רוצה לאכול. אני לא אכפתי, את רוצה לאכול. Like, can you quiet off for 5 seconds? And then you're in the car, and then they're talking, and then it's the best time. They want to do karaoke. And you're like, okay, can you shut up? Anyways, but when you were a first mom, God forbid if you miss out on the first word. You remember when you were a first mom, and you would never go anywhere, because if you missed out on the first step, in Panama, everyone has mates. Imagine you come home and they tell you your kid just did the first step. You die. There's something in you that dies. Oh my God, my kids just did. One day they're going to walk around the house with all of the knives they found, following you like Chucky. It's traumatizing. Now let's say you're the 4th kid. Anyone here the 4th kid? Do your parents have any pictures from you? None. You remember? You have any lone pictures? Do you have any pictures? She's like, no, I am still traumatized. When it was my sister's bat mitzvah, she got all of the pictures for her display. Then I got all of the pictures for my display. By the time I had twin sisters. The last ones, no pictures. Okay? It was also no digital. All of the pictures were dead. There's also one point that parents, especially back then when you used to print pictures, they don't want to spend their pictures on you, so they put a few of you in a picture. When you're the mother of 4 kids, you live on vacation. Who cares if they talk, if they eat sand on the beach? Who cares? It's like you even save on the diapers. What? How did this happen? It's not an hour? 45 minutes? No! Every time she does this to me, wait, look at the time. No, give me 10 minutes. 10 minutes. 10. Tell her 10 minutes, 10, 10, 10, 10. Okay, no one is. Oh. Okay, anyways, but great. So now let's go back. Yes, so you don't even care. You like reuse the diapers. Now let me ask you, are you obsessed with your first child because every 5 seconds you want to see what they're doing because you're like a mother, that you're a policeman, and no, why are you so obsessed with your first child? And again, it's not like you don't love your other children, but there will only be one time when you will experience the first for the first time. Do you know what I'm saying? Yes? Every other child, you already know how it goes. You're excited because they're different people. אבל זה לא אותו דבר. It's the one time that you're experiencing for the first time. You know, when I was young, there was a famous song. Okay, it's not kosher, but I'll sing it anyways. I don't want to close my eyes. I don't want to fall asleep because I miss you, baby. And I don't want to miss a thing. And then they yell, but you know, I don't know how to do the rock star. I don't want to miss a thing. I don't want to miss one smile. Okay, we don't have time to sing today. Anyways, you know. So now, what is judgment? Beni bechorecha Israel, you're my firstborn. There will never be another Raquel, another Smira, another Zimra. Never, ever. And therefore, all of my eyes are on you. Not because I'm on you, because I'm into you. Because I care, because I want you to do your job. You know what judgment is? You know, I don't know if you've ever seen like Dancing with the Stars or ballroom dancing. You know, I love dancing, okay? Now in Spanish dance, there is this harmony that has to happen between the dancers. It's not like hip hop. You know, hip hop is American because it's a little bit about, you know, the self. No offense, but you know, Spanish dance, it's always in a couple, always together because it's always about unity. So now imagine I'm dancing salsa, I give one step forward. And the other person doesn't give one step forward, backwards. You know what I do? I step on them. You know what happens? There's no harmony. There's no beautiful dance. There's no beautiful anything. You know what judgment is? Judgment means we're equal in this partnership. And every action has a reaction. Hashem tzilecha. You're my shadow. If I move, you move. Just like that for the young people. Anyways, you know, if I move, you move. We move together. Because you're equal to me. You know what mercy is? We love mercy. Mercy means I give a step, you give a step 3 hours later. We're never going to be able to dance. Judgment is the dance of life. Where God says, I need you as much as I need myself. You need me as much as I need you. We're in this together. Judgment is the ultimate expression of love. I need 2 minutes. 2 minutes? No, 2 minutes anyways? Okay, I really need like 25, but I'm going to do it in 2. You know, one time I was in like the Sephardic Selichot, and I was really thinking about this. How could it be that you're saying, forgive me, God, but at the same time, you know, you're like singing all of these happy tunes. Let's go back. I'm going to translate for you. The main line in Selichot says, I have sinned in front of you. Rachem aleinu, have mercy on me. When you think about this, this is very deep. The problem is not that we sin, it's that we sin in front of God. You give money to your kids, you tell them don't buy drugs, and then they come with their drugs and they go like you want to smoke. You know, this is literally what we do. God gives you a mouth, says eat kosher, you go eat non-kosher, and you go like, God, thank you. I don't know if you ever think about this, blows my mind. Every time that we sin in front of God, but He never stops the kindness. God never said, I'm not going to give you money because you're not using it wisely. God never cut off your legs because you went partying. God never did any of this. And then one year when I was in Sephardic Selichot, it hit me. You know why Sephardi say, Chatanu lefanecha rachem aleinu, in such a upbeat mood? Because let's go back. I have sinned in front of you, but I'm standing in front of you. There's no greater outburst of love that the fact that you're constantly doing the things that you shouldn't do, and you're still here to tell the story. God keeps on giving you life, keeps on giving you kindness, keeps on blessing you with so much abundance. Again, this would take me 20 minutes. I'm just saying it in 5 seconds. Why? Because He loves you so much. But most importantly, because He believes in you. So next time you do something wrong, and then you don't get electroshocked, you stop and you say, God, you're not giving me a second chance. because, you pity me. You're giving me a second chance because you believe I can do it right. And that's what judgment should bring. Judgment should bring the greatness out of you because you understand you're equal. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day.